even again, more risk. A lot of people ask saving and investing. It's risk. You got to have risk to have reward. But yes, money is lazy. Make it go to work for you is the fundamental theme of all of financial education.
Hey everyone, I am thrilled today to be joined by Jedidiah Collins. He's got an incredible story that we're going to get into. And he was a former NFL fullback, and it's a story of transformation because he went from competing at the highest levels of one of the toughest sports there is into realizing how important personal finance is and taking his own personal experience into helping high school students, professionals, and professional athletes into helping them manage their money and move their money. So I am super excited to get into this. And he is the founder and best-selling author of Your Money Vehicle. Jedidiah, welcome to the show. I'm super excited to have you on today. And I'm excited to get into your story and hear more about it. But I was just fascinated. Money is such an important thing in everybody's life. I think that if we could ever solve the money issue with people, we'd probably solve a lot of the world's problems.
If you got some solutions for it, I think everybody's open-eared. But no, I'm very excited to be here. I think we're going to have a great conversation. As we were talking before, the sports background, the finance background, we have a nice little Venn diagram of kind of personal interests and passions. And yeah, it's this conversation around a topic that has for too long been taboo. And in today's day and age of information and autonomy, it's quite necessary for all of us to start speaking the language.
It is, and it's crazy how taboo it really is. Like I'm always amazed, like in this country, for some reason, now in other parts of the world, it doesn't seem to be, but in this country, it is. It's kind of you should never talk about money. And I actually think the opposite. Like if people got together and discussed their ideas and we're more open about it, I think it intimidates a lot of people. As
athletes, as entrepreneurs, just really as any kind of professional, we share best habits with so many different ways and aspects. And it is this idea of tell me who you voted for me. Tell me about your personal or intimate life. Yeah. Don't talk to me about your finances. And that's in a country and a world built on capitalism, built on identifying we are in a game, we're playing a game, but we're not allowed to share strategies, tactics, the rules. A lot of how we look at money, we see people who understand it and exploit to some degree some of the loopholes as they're playing the game wrong when we really should look in the mirror and just ask ourselves, well, why didn't we understand that? Why don't we do that? And so it has been a fascinating, I would say, last 5 to 10 years where financial literacy is no longer a nice-to-have resource. It has become a fundamental necessity of life. I view a lot of that having to do with the shift in our financial system. We've gone from, a generation ago, depending on pensions, even Social Security. That is not going to be, and I ask college students all the time, how many of you think you're going to get a pension? And if they raise their hands, I got some humbling realities and statistics for them. Yeah. But as we look at that system going away, it is becoming much more of a contributory kind of system, one where I, as the individual, am not depending on a company to support me. I now have to have my own plan. And that's really where kind of the idea and the concept for Money Vehicle and what we do began. But it is a beautiful time to where a lot more people are asking the right questions.
Absolutely, for sure. I would love to kind of go back to your days in the NFL because that's such a big part of your story. And what part of that experience would you say, what did it teach you about like money, teamwork, mindset that's kind of you've taken with you as you've gone into this area of your career?
Absolutely. How much time do we have?
We've got plenty of time.
The NFL was a dream, and it was a dream I got to chase. I did not have the typical career. I'm what was called an undrafted free agent. So getting out the gate, I had every team tell me no 7 times to be exact. And as you look at who is supposed to survive and make it in this industry, the undrafted guys are afterthoughts. I scrounged together a 7-year NFL career solely by just being a hard man to kill. And the mindset that I got to take was, as I transitioned from college to professional, I actually had to change positions. In the college level at Washington State, I was a tight end. I was actually a receiving tight end. Okay. And I get to the NFL, and you stand next to Jeremy Shockey or Jimmy Graham, 6'7", 280 pounds, and much, much faster. Yeah. You humble yourself and say, that's not going to be the path I'm going to go down. And so that shift to becoming a fullback introduced me to a mindset of humility, and it was a mindset of service. I loved the fullback position because, very similar to the offensive line, you're not here for your own glory. You are here to set someone else up for that glory. And so as I looked at the determination it was going to take, being a tough guy to kill, I say that all the time. I tell my daughters that mindset. But then really having the ability to humble myself and look at a bigger picture and see how I can play a part in a bigger scheme, in a bigger game. That's why so many people love and are obsessed with the game of football. It is truly such a team environment. Everybody points to the offense and says, oh, the quarterback, he can't have success without 10 other guys doing their job. You can't win the game unless the other side of the ball and your special teams. And so again, you take these analogies and these stories away from a sport, take them into your real life, take them into your professional life, and you can build on those habits and on those skills that are going to project you. But I would say, as a fullback, really having this persona of, I'm the baddest dude on this field. And it's on a field of monsters, scary giants. And to be able to look at people and have something within you say, I may be intimidated, but I'm willing to face that fear. I'm willing to run through the wall. And it was a really telling moment for me when I realized I could be the scary guy. You know, coming up, growing up, I was not tough. I was not mean. I was not a lot of things that a fullback had to be. And so I created a character that was crazy because I wasn't mean. And that crazy guy had long flowing hair. I didn't shave. I had about 40 pounds on me. And I would do things out on a field. I would interact with the defense to try to let them know that I had a screw or two loose. Whether it was real or not, you know, it probably was a little closer to home than I'd like to admit. Yeah. But it was building a persona that was able to go out on the field and do that job. And as I look at becoming an entrepreneur, going into the professional world, even being a student, a parent, a husband, we all have to identify those characters that we want to be. And as you see them develop, you have to see them before you are them. And so I think that has stuck with me a lot, of kind of that fake it till you make it mindset. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, and you always, you know, that is one of the things, you know, I grew up as in an individual sport, in figure skating.
Yeah, very much.
Very different.
Yeah.
My second favorite sport I love is football. And the thing I've always loved about football, and I would watch it with my dad, is it's the ultimate team sport. And life is so much about, we all need each other. And we all, you know, everybody's got things they do really well. And when we all work together is when you get the full, that's how you actually win.
Absolutely.
And
well, let me ask you, when you would go and you'd about to approach the ice, who is your conversation? It has to be internal. And then is your competition the other skater, or is your competition stay internal as well?
So the competition was always yourself. That was hard to learn, though.
Yeah.
Because I would always be comparing myself to somebody else. But what you learn as you know, working with your coaches is that really the competition is within yourself. And you're just trying to beat yourself every time. And it was better as an individual sport if I would go out, I would have certain goals, and they couldn't be placement goals. It was like, okay, this is the goal of this performance. Like, I want to do XXX. I want to hit this spin or hit this jump or, you know, hit this figure. And my coach, her rule was always, right before you go out, I'm going to give you 3 things, because your mind can remember 3 things.
That's it. Yeah.
Can't remember more than that. Yep. So we always determine what are the 3 things that I need to remember that will keep me on my game to do what I have to do when I go out. But it's a very lonely sport, because, you know, you're out there all on your own, but you're really in your own head. And it's not about ability, because everybody, when you get to a certain level, is pretty much can. Yeah. It's really who can keep it together in the head is really who does and who becomes the champ.
But I look at that and I go, if you want a translatable skill for the world of money, it's look in the mirror. Stop trying to compete against the other team, your teammates, all these other things. At the end of the day, you're only competing with yourself. And so I think if you have been able to take that and continue that kind of concept, it is it is an island.
Yep.
It's a tough place to be. But if you are able to kind of transcend that thought into when I'm looking at how I view my world, my life as successful, I'm only competing with me. And the more I see friends from back in the day, friends from that I played football with, even, just casual neighbors, it is such a world we always look through a window to compete. You walk around Bellevue, Washington parking lot, and it's like these people all have more money than me. It's a very easy thing to see. And you have to continue to say it's not a window, it's a mirror.
Right.
I'm reflecting on what I want because I have no idea what journey they went on, what struggles they're dealing with. And I don't want it to be like, I'm better at this than them. Right. But it is a continual mindset of be the figure skater. Compete against yourself. Don't worry about the opponent. Don't worry about everything else. You only have to worry about these three things and master your performance. That to me is such a neat skill.
Yeah, I mean, you can only be as good as you can be. Like you can't control what someone else is going to do. You can only control your movements.
Yeah.
I would love to know, how did you transition from, being in football, competing at the highest levels to becoming a financial coach? I'm fascinated to get into that. I love it.
It started my rookie year. Okay. Again, I was an accounting major, a business degree. I understood the fundamental knowledge of finances. You gave me 100,000 widgets, I could fill out some financial statements. And then you get to the NFL and they slide a check across the table and you go, where was this class? And it's that common joke. Why didn't they teach me this in school? You can see kind of the foreshadow of where I went with that. But it was that first check that I looked at and I said, I got a big decision. I'm going to spend every dime of this first check before it even hits my paycheck. Before it hits my bank account, all of that money is coming in and going right back out. And I had a beautiful way to do it. I bought an engagement ring. 17 years later, she's still around. So it was a very wise, best investment I've ever made.
Best investment, yes.
Poor financial habit. I looked at it that night, the next day. I woke up in sweats, cramps, really just uneasy because I saw a number hit an account and then the number was gone. And that idea, that messaging, my rookie year was when a Broke documentary came out for ESPN, giving some statistics, debate the statistics all you want. The majority of professional athletes are not ending their careers with financial success, but more financial ruin. And I looked at it as the accounting major, got money, spent money, and was broke. Yeah. I had no dream, no guarantees more paychecks were coming again. I was, again, undrafted. I was most likely not going to make a team. 13 times I didn't make the team. And so it really had that aha epiphany moment of, why did I do that? Not questioning my wife, not questioning the decision in the investment, but questioning that habit I had of, I got money. What do you do with money? You spend it. Where was the deeper knowledge? Where was the conversation of, well, how else could I have used this money? And again, I was undrafted, so it wasn't hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's put that in perspective. 2 days after that, we have some time. My wife and I would go to Borders bookstores, which, if any young people are watching, those are places where they have actual physical books and you could go and pick them up. Yes. It's a confusing thought for some people these days. But we go to Borders bookstores and we'd just grab a book, go sit down, have a coffee, and read. And it was the first time I walked down the personal finance aisle. And I grabbed Rich Dad Poor Dad. I went through Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey. And I started to look at the gurus and these people talking about a language. Yeah. Growing up in Orange County, California, around a lot of money, I had never had this conversation. I again then looked in my locker room. At this time, I was with the Philadelphia Eagles. Cleveland Browns, doesn't matter which team. Wow. I look in a locker room and I say, of these guys, I should have some of the answers. I did business in college. I can do accounting, financial statements, and I was completely unaware. There is no chance they have to capture this dream unless somebody else is making the decisions for them. And so it set me out on a path and a journey. I kept going back to that Borders. I got through Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I got through the next couple books. And I was finally talking to a mentor that offseason about all the questions that I had. He was a financial advisor, a former football player, Brett Carolyn, shout out. And he challenged me. He just said, Jed, I can feed you fish all day long. If you want to learn to fish, you should really start to study for what I am, a CFP. And so I took each off season of my next 6 off seasons, studied the certification in financial planning, and started to pass and become an expert in that field. But it all started with that question of, how do I not be the 70% that go broke? I love sports. I love what it teaches you. But I really looked in that locker room and said, these are the 1% of the 1% who make it in this room. Yeah. And most of us are not going to have the rest of our lives looking at what it gave us. That's not a dream. That's a nightmare. And I can attest the physical toll it's going to take from you. The game's going to take. Sure. You have to take from it. And so it was really that start to Jed has to see what the game of football gave him, not took from him. It's going to start with my bank account. And it's going to start with walking away with some memories, but also some money.
Yeah. Well, and I've even heard that, it's like you see these young kids, like the NFL draft is like one of my favorite things to watch.
Fascinating these days.
I love to watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get very emotional when I watch
Really?
these. Yes. My husband laughs at me, but
these are dreams come true.
Record
No way.
And watch it. And the reason why is because a lot of times this is the culmination for many of these guys.
Decade.
It is everything. They put everything on the line. Their families have sacrificed. Many of them come out of one-parent families.
Most.
Where they've put everything on the line for this. And this is their shot. And this is the culmination of all the hard work, all of the injuries, all of the, difficult training, everything. And they get selected. And this is like their shot to make it. And, many of the agents, I'm sure, are great. But I've also heard there's agents out there that are just not very...
Sharks.
They're sharks. They're not really there to help them and educate them. And you just think like, here's this 22-year-old kid that's for the first time in his life given, and maybe like a high draft pick, I got to imagine, can get a pretty sizable check, right? And they don't know what to do with it. And there's not counselors there to tell them, okay, now that you've got this check, this is what you need to do. So I was fascinated and I was so excited. Like when I, first met you and was getting, we talked and then did some research and I was like, you're the only one I know of who comes from this background and actually understands what it is to be in that position and has taken your life, dedicated your life to helping people in this situation and all people. So I would love to have you tell us how, you started the money vehicle, how it came about and sort of what audiences you're targeting with this and the type of, what you've seen come out of it.
I mean, one, I want to go back to the draft real quick. One, I love that the NFL has done an amazing job of making it a year-long conversation and entertainment at its finest.
Yes.
The shift and the change today is a lot of these young men are walking in as millionaires. So when I started working with NFL players in 2018, it was you come to the NFL to make your dollar. They get a little bit, and I put a little bit in quotations, in college now. And that's why I've shifted that term to business athletes because they are truly a business at 15, no longer waiting until 23. And that call out of their agents, I call it their A-team. We will remember the A-team with Mr. T. They made a remake. There's a newer version. But that A-team that surrounds them is their agent, their advisor, their accountant, their attorney, and their advocate or marketing person. And you look at these 5 people, and I stand in front of rooms and I ask professional athletes, business athletes, college players, do you think you're more likely to be robbed by a stranger or by somebody you know? And for them, the answer is very different than the average person. An article just came out this morning about a Miami Dolphins player had $2.5 million stolen by his advisor.
Oh my God.
The lawsuit is now wrapping up and he's going to get paid $9 million from Morgan Stanley. So, good, I guess. But $2.5 million spent on personal luxury items from the person he was trusting to help him capture that NFL dream.
Yeah.
I look at that shift. I look at kind of who I wanted to become. One of the greatest quotes I've heard is, be the person you needed when you were young.
Like that.
It was on an educator's door when I walked in, and I just go, sir, I'm going to steal this. Like
That's
this.
fantastic.
He didn't say, it wasn't his quote, but
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal quote. And I looked at that and I said, wow. In 2008, I was a rookie in the NFL. I was going through some of these financial workshops that they had somebody with a suit, tie walk in and say, I'm going to speak at you about money. I'm going to show you how much I know about money, because at the end of this, I want you to take my card and give me your money. And I walked out of that, and I'm a big journaler. Love journaling. If I could give anybody a life skill, it would be to journal. I wrote in my journal, I want to come back and teach my brotherhood the language of money without an ask. I don't want to be looking for clients. I want to just be here so they can understand this language better and truly capture the NFL dream we all saw. That was 17 years ago. And so a full circle life moment has been the fact that this year I'll have stood in front of over 1,000 NFL players. That to me is being the man I needed when I was young. And there really isn't anyone else who is a former player, financial expert, and pure educator. Not there to sell them anything. I work with the NFL Players Association, so I get paid. I'm not doing this out of the kindness of my heart. It is a job. But the player, nothing. They come up to me afterwards, and I love it. They go, Jed, I trust you. I want you to be my advisor. And I go, that's not what I do, but I need to talk to you. Free phone call. You let me know. Set it up. I now have players, because I've been doing it for a few years, on their second contracts. They have a full A team. They have 2 advisors, and they still text and call me and ask me questions because of the education, because of the why. This person is telling me to do that. This person is telling me not to do that. Why? Well, let's talk about both of their conflicts of interest, both of their incentives. Like you were saying, what is that individual truly ultimately there for? Is it for that player's life to change? That's the first idea we need to get through to them. The due diligence on your A team, I think, is the second most important thing an athlete has to struggle with today. Sadly and lovingly, the first one is, we made it. And I put we in quotes. In 10 years ago, 20 years ago, athletes were buying 2 houses and 8 cars and yada, yada, yada. Financially irresponsible, because the helmet, we were trying to show people, I have money. Look at me and look at my money. We're not going broke anymore because of frivolous spending, to some degree. One, the money is getting so much higher that you can buy 2 cars.
Sure.
But the reality is, where we are struggling the most is, who is we? Who is we, and we made it. And my goal with every rookie is to look in the mirror and say, you get 3 names. I'm hoping it's mom, dad, and one other. Many of them don't have mom and dad, so there's one less. But who are those 3 people? Your first year, that is the far as you can go in we. Make it a second year, we can add some more people. But if you cannot control who we is and we made it, this dream is going to go pass by. And so I do love identifying the full circle life moment for myself of, I am living that person that I wanted to be. I get to travel. Monday I'll be with the Indianapolis Colts. This Monday I was with the Seattle Seahawks. Teams don't want me in there after Monday. They're like, Monday is the day. After
Monday's
that,
kind of the down day.
Monday's the day. Don't come in here on Wednesday. We don't care. But to walk in there and, again, have my educational objectives. I love the 3 things. As a speaker, if you ever want to be remembered, you get 3 max. I would really say 1, but you get 3 things. So I have my 3 things, but I am now to a comfortable point where I have a whiteboard behind me and I go, fellas, what do you want to talk about? I got some things I want to talk about, sure, but I'm not here for me. What are your questions? And let them control the conversation. Even the people who bring me in go, Jed, people don't get engagement like that. And I said, that's because it's not me. It's not my material. They're asking the questions. And it's taken a long time to be in that place, having the background and having the comfortability. And it is intimidating, especially when a 340-pound man goes, hey, brother, you got 30 minutes and I'm leaving. I will make this worth your time.
Worth it, yeah.
but the respect and the comfortability by the end of those windows. And when I look at him and go, sir, we're at 30 minutes. Can I keep going? Yes, you can. And it's like, that's because he sees the value.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like you can identify with them and they can trust you. And that's really, I think, really in any profession. It's, I had a dad who was an incredible mentor to me. He was in the lending business, mortgage business for 40 years. I grew up coming to the office. I'd sit in on his meetings. And I think why I fell in love with this business and knew I always wanted to do this was I would see how he would change their lives through real estate. And he would sit them down and talk to them about not just this house, but like, okay, we got to talk about rentals. Like, have you thought about down the road? And just walking them through and educating them, kind of letting them see that next step. Because a lot of people, money is so intimidating and so is real estate. And sometimes and I don't think it's conscious, it's subconscious. Sometimes people don't think they're worthy. Which that's a tough one. And we've all, I think, been there. But then you realize, no, I just need to feel comfortable and I need to be around the we. I love how you framed that. Have the people that you trust. You've got to pick those people that you trust are the ones that are going to be around you. But I would see how he would change their lives just through owning that home. And after he passed away a couple years ago, I was going through his office and his drawers. There was a letter that some past clients wrote to him in 2021. And I remember working with these clients. Like, we did their purchase in 2001. It was this beautiful home. They really wanted it. It needed some fix up, but it was a tough loan to put together. And my dad, just because, that's what you get to be good at is helping people, helping determine, okay, how can I put this puzzle piece together, given what they qualify for and given what their goals are? Well, my dad was able to get them into this home, and they wrote him this letter and said, you literally changed the trajectory of our life through this home.
Generations.
We would not have a retirement that we have. And we would not have the memories we have with our kids and now our grandkids in this home if it wouldn't have been for you fighting for us, having confidence in us and going to bat for us. So I think that's just, and you get to a point, I think, in your career and lives where it's like, gosh, when you can go and help people that way, that's what really drives me. I love being able to help somebody and change their life and know that you get them on a trajectory that's going to get them to the path they want to go on.
And it's like you were saying, purchasing a home is complex. It's complicated. There's a lot, documents, pages. As I would imagine, the vast majority of the people who come to you don't necessarily know what all these things mean are or how it will impact them today and decades to come.
No.
That letter, I love that he kept it. I love that it was handwritten. And I do think you start to look at the world today, and we can go back to kind of that financial measurement. Everybody in the last probably 20 to 30 years has said success is who has the highest dollar amount. And people like yourself, like myself, I think because you got to see it through your dad he was financially successful, but this letter is what you wanted to imitate and emulate. Yes. I look at the advisors I've gotten to work with and say, they all make more money than me. And that was a path that I was going down. But ultimately, I'm an old soul. I journal. I questioned what at the end am I going to measure my success in? And it's people, not profit. And it's that idea of how many throughout your career can you say, I helped them get into what they call a home, not a house. A lot of people buy a house. They created a home and changed their children's lives, what you grow up in, what they see as possible. And I look at culturally, and this is part of, again, my passion and upbringing from my father, the redlining of the past, of the 70s and the 60s, and who culturally are we trying to have generational wealth with homes, and who are we culturally trying to avoid? even the credit score we call the financial reputation of today. Your father had to have trust in these individuals.
Yeah.
He was putting himself on the line saying, if this goes wrong, my name is at the bottom of this. And that trust is a two-way street. Again, I grew up reading Dave Ramsey. One of the biggest ways we separate in Money Vehicle says, you need credit. You need to have built this thing that says, if you give me a home, you can trust me to make these payments and to be responsible. How can I do that without knowing you? That's what that credit score is supposed to represent. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it going to change? Amazingly and drastically, it is right now changing as we speak. But I come back to the two-way relationship of trust. AI is going to be amazing. It's going to change everything. It will never change the human-to-human trust relationship of they needed to trust him to help, and he needed to trust them to fulfill. I love that.
100% true. Yeah, that's the thing. And I remember my dad always said to me, look, the beautiful thing about really all business, but, our business was the faces will change, technology will change. It's a relationship business, and it's all about trust. And when people trust you, they work with you. But you are given, it's very, very easy, you're given a huge responsibility because you are helping them with the biggest investment most of them are ever going to make. And some of them, you got to help them get out of their own way. And sometimes maybe it's not the right thing for them to do. And you got to educate them so that they can get to the right answer for themselves. Never make the answer for them, but help them get to the right answer for themselves.
Help them ask the right question.
Yes. Oh, exactly. Which leads me into, I love what you do, what you've done with your curriculum. And I would love to, because for years and years, I'm sure a few of us have always said, why do they not teach money?
If I had $1.
Yes. Like, why do they not teach any? It's just like we learn, I mean, we learn trigonometry, we learn geometry, we learn physics, chemistry. I've never used any of that after I graduated. But they never teach basic money and banking. They don't teach how to manage money at all. So how did you think of coming up with your curriculum? And kind of who have you geared that towards? I'd love to have you tell us about that.
So, and this is, again, it's one of these things I try to look back through time and be proud of myself. And that's not an easy goal. Anybody who has ambition is always like, I'm not satisfied with where I am. But I look at back why I wasn't prepared. My father grew up first in his family to go to college. My father's black, so the black community. And I look at how was he an attorney, went to law school, started a law firm, ran a law firm, and to this day is financially illiterate? It's because nobody in his community had ever spoken this. And so I looked at it and I said, okay, I did accounting, but nobody taught me personal side. So I set out on a mission when I left the game in 2015. I went to a company here in Seattle called Brighton Jones, great wealth management, great foundation for me. And I said, I want to be an advisor. People pay you to be an advisor. I'm going to go, I'm going to meet people, and they're going to give us money, and that's going to be how. But my passion is helping. I always, at the start, and I'm going to reframe this because it wasn't a great name. I said, I'm the advisor for the broke. I want to help people who don't have money. Guess what? That doesn't work in the AUM model. Like, if you don't have assets, we can't charge you. That's not our target. But those are who I wanted to serve. And so I started going out. I went back to my alumni, Washington State. I went to local high schools, and I just said, I stumbled into this world. I know some things. How can I help teach it to you? And I walked in and I said, my goal, one thing, Roth IRA. And I said, I went to a room full, hundreds of college students. I said, I'm going to get you to open Roth IRAs. What I came to realize is they didn't understand the taxes to it, the investments to it, the cash management of it, the time value money of it, any aspect of why they were going to go do this. And you're not going to take action unless you know why.
Right.
So I looked at, like, here is the synthesis of what I want to ultimately get to. We got to retroactively get there. We got to back into what are the steps you need to take to be able to do that. 2015, I was retired. I was starting to create these little stories and analogies. I love to say I wrote Your Money Vehicle driving the bus taking the bus to and from Seattle. Going into work, coming out of work, I would just be writing and thinking. And the communication and the style of it comes from a lot of pieces of who I am. But as I was writing these things, I started to realize this is something that every high school student in America should have. I said in 2015, I think the United States needs to change education and require financial literacy. It is now 10 years later, 2025. Proudly, we'll say 35 states require now a semester-long financial literacy course. Of those 35, 32 have been in the last 2 or 3 years that have passed it. So it's not even a mandate that's enforced yet, but it is on the horizon. And so I looked at, in 2015, this group called the Jumpstart Coalition, and they came out with a national standards for financial literacy. And I said, hey, don't reinvent the wheel. They have standards. Use their standards to create the curriculum. Great, you need to teach compound interest. I know, you know, if you just sit there and go, well, compound interest is the present value, blah, 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 you're going to lose everybody.
Oh, totally. Way over. Yeah.
So what to teach was not the hurdle. That was the start, and where a lot of states right now are trying to figure out what to teach. It's like, look at the standards. What to teach is not hard. How to teach it. And so I focused on, if this is the story in money, how can I build a story not in money that is going to help somebody go, okay, I get where you're going. Now I can translate it to money. And so I started with, okay, what is the title? What are we going to introduce it as? Money. Well, I want you to see money differently. I want you to see it as something that's going to take you vehicle. Money vehicles. From the start, the analogy is students need to see money differently. And then this is where my creative gene just kind of took over. I said, well, we have 12 chapters. Each chapter is going to be a different piece of your vehicle and car. So you get to chapter 3, our cash management. We don't say the B word, budget. We say cash management. That's your steering wheel. Why? Because it's your twists, your turns. Well, what is the first mistake people make in their car? They don't check their oil. That's your credit. That's going to be the first mistake people make in their money. And then you work all the way to the end of where I wanted to get you and said, you are now driving your money vehicle. How do you make a vehicle more efficient? You make it a hybrid car. How do you make a money vehicle more efficient? You make it a tax-advantaged account. Now we get to go into 401ks, IRAs, and that Roth tool. But everything is told through a silly, simple, storied lens that allows a student to go, I am not there to show you all the things I know. I'm there to get you to meet you where you are and bring you one step closer to where I am. And so that analogy format has really taken off into why students are engaging with it is because they feel confident. Now we have students creating their own versions and variations of stories. My hope is we started the conversation. Students are going to take it where they want to go. And I say students, I have 13-year-olds, we have 23-year-olds, we have 33-year-olds. Age doesn't matter. You getting your first paycheck, next paycheck, or thinking of a paycheck, what are the first 12 actions you need to take? That's where money vehicle starts. We always say it's the first mile of the journey. You're going to go many miles in this vehicle, but as we start to build that, we want to create fun little examples of how to take complex things and simplify it. I'll share with you my favorite one. Coming from an NFL football background, I always walk in and I'll ask you, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, gosh.
Right? It's a fun question.
Fun question.
I asked the Seahawks on Monday. They all had one answer. It was not a hard answer. And I go, okay, out of this room. Yeah, that's sacrilegious. Somebody choose somebody else. And they're like, can't do it. There are coaches in here.
There are coaches.
You're getting us. Yeah. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? You can take the hometown team. Yeah.
Well, I hope it would be
go.
the Seahawks. But who do I think? Yeah, you probably could be. I mean, the Eagles look pretty good again this year. It's hard to count the Chiefs out.
Yeah, always. Don't bet against greatness.
But I really like the Lions.
Love it.
I'm going to say maybe the Lions.
Let's go Detroit. All right.
Yeah.
So here's the question. I ask that, and I say, okay, Detroit Lions. You get your first team, Detroit Lions. You mentioned the Seahawks. You like the Seahawks. What if you could have all 4 teams in the NFC West? So you get the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Niners, and whoever that 4th team is that I'm forgetting. Okay, great. Now you get 4 teams in the NFC West against your 1 team with the Detroit Lions. What if somebody came to you and said, well, you could get every team in the NFC compared to the 4 teams in the NFC West or the 1 Detroit Lions? So I went from 1 team to 4 teams to now 16 teams. And then somebody comes to you and goes, I got it. You can choose the NFL. Somebody in the NFL is going to win the Super Bowl. And everybody looks at you kind of dumbfounded and goes, that's not, you can't do that. I said, all right. In investing, you can choose the next Amazon, Detroit Lions. I believe in one team, one company. I'm taking all the risk. I can upgrade or diversify into 4 or 16 teams in a mutual fund or an ETF, exchange traded fund. Or I can take the field and bet on the market. That's called an index fund. And when they get that aha moment of, I can bet on the NFL to win the Super Bowl, they can take that first step into investing confidently with diversification, with low fees. Is it your last investment? No. In a few years, you're going to come to me and talk about rental real estate, talk about this and talk about that. Great. First step, I want you to understand what it is you're doing. Yeah. This last week, AMD had a contract with OpenAI, and I got pinged by people, and they're like, were you investing in AMD? I go, yeah, yes, I was. Because it's on the S&P 500, and guess what? I average index into the S&P 500. Yes. Am I a millionaire tomorrow? No. But did I benefit from the boom? Yes, I did. And so it is this concept and the idea, Super Bowl, ask football. Everybody knows I want to choose someone, and betting in sports is out of control.
Yeah.
Out of control. Yeah. But if you can take that kind of concept and analogy and make it to where somebody goes, that S&P thing, that makes a little more sense. My job is done.
Yeah. Totally. And you're going to be a winner. I mean, look at what it's averaged the last 5-10 years.
Time.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's time in the market, not timing the market. And that's, I'll tell you the thing that drives me nuts is my dad growing up. My dad was always like, never let your money sit idle. Like your money needs to always be moving and working harder for you than you did for it. So I'll look at, when people send me their documents, I'm looking at their bank statements and so forth. They've got $50,000 sitting in a Wells Fargo retail checking account earning 0.01.
Yeah.
And it's only 0.01 because it's literally illegal.
Not to.
To not.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the biggest legal scam in the United States. Like these banks take in people's money and pay them 0.01% on that money. Yeah.
Knowing
don't even realize it.
Inflation you're losing.
When the person comes to them and goes, hey, I want a car loan or I want a mortgage. Oh, yeah, we'll lend your money back to you and we'll make a profit on it. Yep. And you're going to be smiling for us doing it. I'm like, no, I'm exposing this. I'm going to tell people exactly, but it drives me nuts. I'll say to them, do you realize this is making nothing?
No, they don't.
Can I make some suggestions?
Yeah.
Like, please let me make you some suggestions.
But your father taught you, and I love the phrase, money is lazy.
Yes.
And people go, what are you talking about? Money is, if you don't tell it what to do, it will sit there.
Yes. That's a great, I've never heard of that phrase, but I like that.
That's it. And that's what you look at it and go, no, money is my employee. Yeah. Everything should be, some of it should be sitting in an account and be my cushion and my safety. But it's, money is lazy. And if you don't speak the language and know how to talk to it, it does nothing for you. No. And again, we can't judge people because they all started from different places, different challenges, different things, different parents. Your dad taught you, even spoke to you about this is fascinating to me because I didn't have that. My mom, dad, they grew up poor. They had poor. My dad just out-hustled everyone. He just freaking outworked people, which is why I have my discipline. My daughters hate, and they're like, why'd you wake up at 5:30 on a Saturday? That's ingrained in me. This is what's going to happen, and soon I'm going to make you guys do it. So it's coming.
I love it.
And it just, I love that he opened your mind to the possibilities of this intimidating conversation, this taboo, as we let out saying, just breathe, look at it in the face and go, you go do this. And that is the power of speaking the language. That is what I think is going to change the world is the more we, and the veil, the financial industry for 100 years has profited. Mortgage, doesn't matter if it's brokerage, doesn't matter. I make more money the less you understand.
Yeah. unfortunately.
And I think that is what we are in the midst of changing.
Yeah.
Because now I can go,
Totally.
and it will tell me everything.
Yeah.
The veil has come off. We're seeing the wizard behind the screen and going, it wasn't that scary. That person just hid and kept a lot of the information I needed from me.
Yeah.
And profited every day for it.
And that's the thing. And here's the thing. An educated client is the best client.
Ooh.
Actually, a person who is knowledgeable and confident.
Unless they're an engineer, because then they know more than you and tell you about it.
That
No,
is
I'm just
true.
kidding.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So you've met them. Okay,
yes,
good.
I have. I have. There's a different way of definitely a different way of breaking down, just because people, just people take in information so differently. But I would agree with you on that. And I think, working with clients over the years, it's like the educated client is definitely the best client. But for sure, there's been people who've been taken advantage of over the years. And, it's like when people come to me and they say, yeah, I want to interview different people. I say, great. I think that's fantastic because you know what? You're going to see what works for you. You're going to be informed. You're going to get good education, and then you're going to make the right decision for yourself. And then when they come back to you, they feel like, okay, I'm educated. I feel informed, and I feel they're making the decision. They're then buying into it. So I think that the whole AI generation is going to be helpful. Now, if they can work out getting some of the information that's not correct, washed out of it, but I think it's good overall. It's going to be good for people.
I look at it and I tell guys, because now I end a presentation with, here's a prompt you need to go put in. Yeah. Whether it's act as my financial advisor, I'm an NFL player making $1 million, talk to me, just like you would with an advisor. It's not gospel.
Yeah.
Question it, challenge it, get a second opinion. But it is it is a new part of your A team, and I love it. My wife was like, "Oh God," I go, "AI, it's now part of the A team. Like it's in there. It was built in for me. Like it's amazing." Yeah. But it is this new epiphany of those questions. I look at who I specifically, and I work with a lot of students. I love working with traditional students. But as an NFL player, the ego of who you are is really hard to get over. And the one thing you don't want to do is ask questions because it shows you don't know. And they won't ask it in a group, in a room, in front of people. They will ask it on their phone. And that's where I'm trying to say, I don't care where you ask it, ask. Ask. And that's exactly what the educated client is the best because they ask questions. Yeah. And it's, again, I don't teach you answers. I teach you questions.
Well, and you were saying you speak all over the country, and you speak to high school students, you speak to college athletes. Tell me a little bit about that because I love that.
First off, Alaska Airlines, if you're listening, 130,000 miles on you. So,
gosh.
If I can get sponsored there, it'd be great.
Hopefully you're upgraded. Hopefully you get
definitely
upgraded.
Getting upgraded these days.
You should be. They should be flying you first class.
Yes, I get, and that's a whole other cool. I can't go behind the curtain anymore. Like when I'm not, it's kind of like, oh, I got to get a meal before I get on. Like this is tough living here. That sounds terrible. But as I look at it, I started out talking to student athletes. Once you make 6 figures, some 7 figures, it felt very weird calling them student athletes. So I started to frame it as you're a business athlete. You're a business first. And I would love for your education to be more important. But when someone's paying you $700,000, your job is different. Yeah. But the frame of them to identify themselves as business. I get to work with the University of Washington athletic department a lot now. Football team gets it. You are a business. You're making you're making money. But you go talk to the non-revenue generating sports and they go, well, we're not a business athlete. We're not getting in the, and I go, pause. You're a business athlete today. In 5 years, you work at Amazon. You're still an individual business. And I want you to see that frame because we were brought up, the company was going to take care of us. Now you are your own walking, talking, breathing business. I don't care if you're a 15-year-old student, you're at college, you're in the workforce. You have to see and brand yourself as your own. Why I love, doesn't matter who, starting an LLC, is it just gives that professional persona. What changes when I get to talk is just how many zeros. If I'm talking to high school students, it's 1,000. If I'm talking to college students, it might be 50,000. If I'm talking to an NFL player, it might be 1 million. The same 5 money buckets is our cash management system, same 5 choices. Doesn't matter how big the paycheck is. Same action items. Now, perhaps an NFL player gets to take different actions or more actions or drop in more money. But what I love about money, the idea of time in, not timing, it is practical, it is methodical, it is simple. It's just a language we haven't spoken. You look at somebody speaking Spanish and they go, I just asked them when their birthday is. I wasn't asking them anything, but I had no idea what the heck you just said. That is money.
Yeah.
And the coolness about today is you walk in here and, again, an NFL rookie class has a first rounder to an undrafted guy hoping to be here tomorrow. I stand in front of them. I go, there's $100 million man in this room. I don't know which one of you it is, but one of you is going to make that in your career. So the vast differences of money in your future, we also have to identify, and you touched on this earlier, are vast differences of past.
Yes.
Culturally,
Yes.
home base, friends, relationships, who that we is, who your spouse. You said your home is your number one investment. I would argue it's your second, next to who you're going to marry, because that person is going to make more of an impact on your financial life. I mean, the home is obviously amazing, but looking at these students and simply trying, I've been told I have a Socratic method. I don't go in. I do have some PowerPoints. I try to get off the screen these days. I go in with questions. I'm comfortable in saying, I know my material well enough. Heck, I built a curriculum, wrote a textbook and a teacher guide and all kinds of things. I'm comfortable in saying, you're not going to throw me off. Let's go where you want to go. And so students today are starting to say, I am not going to sit here for an hour and have you point at a PowerPoint and mama at me. That they're not going to do it. If you don't engage them from the start, if you don't entertain them and do a song and dance along the way, you're never going to educate and you'll never empower. So I love the idea of looking at this in-person environment. We were talking COVID destroyed my opportunity to stand in front of people.
Yeah.
But it forced me to go on screen and on camera and go, can I bring the same energy? Can I bring the same information? Can I communicate and connect the same way? I will always say not as well. But it allows you to, again, build that character and say, we're about to go on the ice, we're about to go on the field, flip that switch, become the person. Now as a presenter, as I sit here, flip it on and I look at it through, who is my audience? How do I get them to take one step? And if we get that one step, it was worth the time, it was worth the day.
You never know who in that audience needed to hear that message.
Yes.
That day.
That's awesome.
Like, you never know when you're going to make somebody's day. My dad was really famous for always saying, he goes, always smile at people. And he lived that. In fact, I remember like one of my favorite dad stories was my dad loved Christmas. Christmas was his favorite holiday. And his whole, he was in the military. He grew up very, very poor. I mean, he sought mentors.
Military, very tough financially.
Very. And he was in Vietnam, but he was a patriot through and through, like would kiss the ground of this country, like loved this country. And he would wear his Christmas, we always got him like Christmas suspenders, ties, and socks. He loved them. And he wouldn't just wear them around Christmas time. So he used to go to this place in Bellevue for lunch when he had his office in Bellevue. And this guy walks in one day and he's sitting there, dad's sitting there with one of his business partners. And this guy walks up to him and says, "It's not Christmas. Why do you have your Christmas stuff on?" And my dad just looked at me and goes, "Because to me, every day is Christmas living in the United States of America."
Right.
And the guy just stood there.
He's seen different.
The guy just stood there and he just kind of laughed. And Dad goes, you could see him just let his guard down. And he just he got up, they shook hands. And, but the point of that was, is Dad's like, that guy came in and had something going on that day. He had something in his head. Something wasn't going right for him. And Dad goes, I knew he was just taking it out on me. But he said what he needed in return was kindness. And he goes, I was telling him the truth anyway, but he needed just kindness. And I because I smiled at him and I just was having fun with him, I changed the trajectory of his day. So it was like, smile at people, because you never know that person that you come in contact with that's contemplating something, maybe really bad in their head, or just needed that smile or that message that you give them that day that changes their life, literally can change their life.
And I love the authenticity of it. He was himself, comfortable in his own skin. If you can give anybody a gift of being comfortable in their skin, that's a beautiful thing. I introduce myself today as a great failure, and people knee-jerk react to that because of whatever they're going through. Oh, I don't want to be seen as a failure. And I look at it and I go, ask anybody who has achieved anything of success if they've failed. And they will say time and time again. Now, again, I reframe that word, F-A-I-L, fail, my first attempt in learning. I don't fail. It's just my first attempt. What can I take? What can I do with it? And why I bring that up is you say smile at people. I look at every time I failed. Got cut 13 times in the NFL. I grew up losing to my brothers, both years older than me in basketball, every day. I didn't win. 200 and 600 times did I ever win. I grew up losing, failing. But the mindset shift of how do you respond from a failure? Tomorrow it's going to hurt. Tomorrow you're not going to climb Everest. Tomorrow you're going to take an inch. Tomorrow you're going to wake up and make a small measurement of progress. And I give that example. Sometimes an inch is a smile. I tell people, if you're in business, you're in sales, smile on the phone call. They can't see it. They'll hear it.
Yes.
As a parent, I think my greatest skill and quality is ability to communicate through a smile. Girls out on the soccer field looks over at you and wants you to, and you just smile. Girls, I say girls because I have 2 daughters, but laying on the ground, fell off a bike crying, you smile. And you see like that, the shell come off and just say, that's all I needed.
Because they were working off of, the kids work off of you. And I remember people said that. And then when my son was born, he's 5.5 now, but it's like, when they fall and they immediately start to cry, if you walk up to them and you just smile and you're calm, they stop most of the time.
Fine.
Because they're just working off of you. It's like if you go up, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's, I love what you're saying about failing, because that applies to everything.
Everything.
Business, athletics. And I mean, we can go, there's so many Hall of Famers that were undrafted free agents. I can think of some of my favorites on the Seahawks that were undrafted free agents that ended up becoming absolute rock stars. I mean, Tom Brady was number 199 in the draft. I mean, like you said, there's somebody in this room that's $100 million person. And who is it? That's the thing. It's like you become what you make of yourself. Like everybody's got an opportunity.
But so many people fear that word. They fear that result. And I say the fear of failing is way more limiting than actually failing.
Yeah.
And if you just approach it with that idea of, I should fail. You look at a practice, basketball. Oh, I don't want a girl to steal from me in practice. That's what practice is for.
Right.
I hope she steals it from you 4 times. Guess what? In your brain, subconsciously or consciously, you're going to devise 4 ways to prevent what just happened. And each time you earn that inch of learning. And so I want to disarm that word because as an entrepreneur, I had a young man who's going through Money Vehicle now, a 15-year-old in Illinois, just started a fish tackling business. And he said his father told him it was never going to work. And I looked at him, I said, welcome to the club. Your dad told you no, that's being an entrepreneur. Go get 99 more and you'll really be in the club. But if I hear students all the time on social media, I want to be an entrepreneur. Can you take 100 no's? Can you take 100 people telling you your story, your journey, your dream is not going to come true? Because if you can't, that's not the life for you.
Right.
But it's the fear that somebody's going to say no, devastating. And it's like, nope, Smile tomorrow, find that inch, and you're already back on the path.
Totally. Try to get more. Go after as many no's as you can, because then you're closer to yes.
I have a post-it above my computer that says, get 100 no's.
There you go.
And my daughters ask me all the time, why do you want no's? One day you'll get it.
Yeah. One day, well, and you know what? They're lucky to grow up with a dad like you that as their mentor. Because
I'm going to show them this.
I think here's the thing though. I think like I was really close to my dad. I think, dads and daughters can have a really great relationship, just like sons and moms do. But my dad was tough. I mean, he was tough on me. He was not easy on me. And when I worked with him, even his employees were like, okay, your dad expects a lot more out of you than he does any of us.
Oh, I love that.
But that was good.
Yeah.
Because, I remember when he said, look, one day, if you prove to me that you have learned this business and that you could truly take care of people, you can take care of my clients. You will. You will have earned my book of business. But he goes, if you haven't, I would rather sell it to someone else, because I'm going to teach you a lesson that you got to work for it. You always have to work for it. And you feel better like when you have worked for it. And that was really like one of the best lessons. And, you're talking about getting up at 5:30 in the morning. Some of the greatest moments I look back on. My dad passed away a few years ago. One of the greatest moments I had with him was growing up. I was probably 6, 7, 8 years old. And he would get me up at 6:30 on a Saturday morning and say, hey, let's get up, get dressed. We're going to go have some breakfast at Denny's. And then we got to go clean out a rental because we had to get it ready for the next tenant. And I remember as a kid, like being like, okay. It seemed like a lot of work, but I had fun with him. And we packed a lunch, we had breakfast, but I was cleaning ovens. I was cleaning the floors. I was shampooing the carpets. But at the end of the day, those are the lessons and the moments when he passed away. Those are the moments I reflected on and I looked back on. I was like, those were defining moments because I realized the value of $1. I got paid $7 for cleaning that rental. And I opened a passbook savings account at Washington Federal. I don't know if, you're younger than me, but I don't know if you remember the passbook savings accounts at all. But, you got this little booklet. You take it in there and you deposit your money. At Washington Federal, I still have that account. Washington Federal. It's now not a password, but I still have that first account I ever opened. But $7, and I would, accumulated that money, making money. It was in a savings account. Yeah. But those are the greatest moments. Was those times spent with my dad and those lessons that came with that.
And that's the fun game. Being a parent is you don't know. Like you don't know when that moment, that lesson. You read all the parenting books. They can't prepare you for that instant and that long term of what behaviors am I teaching over the full thing. People ask me today, like, is it fun to watch sports? I don't watch sports. I analyze. And it's just because I watched for 15 years. Right. It was not good play. It was right guard misstepped. Linebacker shouldn't have done that. And it translates to my daughters, and that's what I have to tell myself a lot now is like, she's 9, calm down.
Right.
But it is with that heart and that mentality of like, I don't care how good you are. I just want you to have that notion of you can get better. And the drive to go fail, improve. And I love that you bring that up because that's my girls are now 11 and 9. They're going to be out of the house before I know it. And I say my challenge to myself continually is I want them to love me, but my job is to make sure they're ready for a world that's going to be hard. And like your dad said, if you're not ready for it, I'm going to look you in the eyes, tell you, and then give it to somebody else. And that was not nice. Yeah. That was not fun. That was what you needed to hear.
And it was honest.
Authentic.
Yeah.
He sounds like an authentic man.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get some Christmas socks.
Yeah, I love that. No, and you know what's interesting too is like after he passed away, I found he had a magnetized like nameplate that said every day is Christmas, and he used to wear it at church. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was meant to find this.
Yes.
And I've kept that. because it just went with all of that. Yeah. So what is next for you? What are you working on now? You're kind of talking a little bit. I'd love to have you share a little bit more about how you're evolving.
Again, about 6 months ago, I ran into this little thing. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's called artificial intelligence.
Yes.
It's out there.
Yes.
It has absolutely changed everything about the way I think. 10 years ago, I set out to build a curriculum. I've had hundreds of people be like, Jed, you can't build a financial literacy curriculum. We do. It's arguably the best curriculum in the country. I don't have the marketing, and I can't give it away for free. So in K-12, you run into some hurdles. So I look at that project and I say, I've gotten pretty close to completing that. What now? Through this tool, I challenge, A, what high schools are going to look like in the future. I don't think it's going to be 1,000 kids walking into a room and sitting at desks. And B, what curriculum's going to be in the future. I know today it's not a textbook.
Yeah.
So how do I take what I've built? AI is an accelerator. I don't truly think it's a creator as of yet. So it needs balls of clay. I have a ball of clay that I am playing with. Right now, I've built a podcast on the textbook using it. I've built endless videos of characters taking actions in the projects that they're going to build using it. I actually went back, and there's a tool called Pen to Print. I have all my written journals. You take a snapshot of it, and it sends you a Word document. So I'm going to publish a book called Undrafted. Right now, I didn't really remember this. I wrote in my journal every day in the building of my year in Detroit. My last year, I was in my 7th season, and I was like, I'm going to capture it all.
Yeah.
80,000 words just from snap, send a Word doc, snap, send a Word doc. So I have 6 other years that I could go back and I'm going to do it with. But looking at all of these tools, I look at myself, and what I've always been is I'm a creator at heart. I've been challenged in how to make it profitable and productize yourself. One of the ways that I really have enjoyed is each chapter has a series of 10 family questions and conversations. Through a few tools, I've used those to develop more of a central guide for parents to have discussions with their kids. So now we're going to come out with a book and a tool that is 120 conversations you need to have with your kids about money.
That's amazing.
It's how do you take all of this information. And so if I were to tell you where Money Vehicle is a year from today, 1 year, which is absolutely phenomenal and incredible, I am working now with two companies to take, we have a 300-page textbook, we have a 200-page workbook. I actually wrote a 500-page teacher guide because high school teachers don't know how to talk and speak and teach money. So here is what you say in class each and every day through the entire semester.
Wow.
All of that into a centralized AI tool that is now going to become Money Vehicle AI. As a teacher, you can train it to continue to adapt and adopt. But where I see curriculum going is it has to adjust to the student. Illinois student, different than Texas, different than Florida, different than California. Socioeconomic backgrounds, different. Ethnicity, different. How can I look at a student and go, this one story I thought was cute and clever? Let's say I use chess as the analogy. They might not even know how to play chess. You can't assume anymore that they understand your story. So if I can build this tool that gets the principles and is able to adjust to the student or the teacher at the point of contact, that's where the future is going in curriculum. So 1 year in August, that's what I hope to deliver is this system and this tool that is able to look at a teacher and say, we're going to help you throughout the entire semester, make it easy for you to teach a language you don't know. And we're going to look at your student and meet them where they are and bring them forward based on their stories, based on their inputs, based on how they need to use this language. And so it is an overwhelming thought, but it is such an exciting time. And that is the beauty of being an entrepreneur is nobody's giving me direction. I've built this curriculum against billion-dollar organizations. Pearson, McGraw, they're now reaching out and going, how did you do this? Passion. Take COVID. I had 2 years to just focus on one thing. A lot of people wasted it. I used it. But I look at it again 10 years later and I go, dang, My dream that I had is not the solution of the future. AI took Money Vehicle out in the back, put it out of its misery. And I had about 3 weeks of just depression, challenge, fail, sitting and sulking and going, but I've spent a decade building this thing. And then what has risen from the ashes? I've taken an inch a day and continue to look at and no longer say, is this going to destroy me? I'm asking now, how does it magnify me?
Yeah.
And that's the path I think all of us need to accept. Doesn't matter your industry. Accountants should be using, attorneys should be using, advisors, agents.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to learn to use these tools because if you don't, you're going to be passed by.
For sure.
And I remember really sitting for like 3 days and going, should I put out a podcast that is 2 AI things talking together about my curriculum? I haven't had a single student or a single school ask me who created the podcast. It's that good.
Yeah.
And so I humbled and said, doesn't matter if 10% of the students benefit from it.
Yeah.
It was worth it. And turns out more than 10% are using it and enjoying it. So
As a famous hockey player said, you have to go where the puck
where
is
the
going.
puck's going.
Right? Yeah.
And that's the future.
Yeah. That's incredible. I agree with you on AI. AI is going to do nothing but evolve. But I think in the capacity of your money vehicle, that's fascinating because to be able to mass customize, which is essentially what you're able to do through it, to be able to meet people where they're at, given their different backgrounds and socioeconomic means, you know, because they are different all over the country.
Extreme.
To be able to customize it to them is incredible. So that just, I mean, you're just evolving into a whole nother level with it.
And that's the beauty of life, the beauty of pivoting, and the beauty of being unafraid to fail.
Yes.
You go out on the ledge and you realize I'm going to take lumps. It's going to hurt. It's not going to be pretty. Nobody knows what's on the other side of the darkness.
Yeah.
Is it going to end up being a $100 million company that I go, oh my gosh, look at? Probably not. But that was never my goal. My goal has always been from 2012 when I went and started, can I get 1 million students to open Roth IRAs? AI does whatever it's going to do. You still will benefit from investing at a young age in a Roth IRA. 100%. So if I can change that, it will be absolutely worth it. And again, we're at the cutting edge. I look at myself and I go, I'm speaking the ABCs of AI. Other people are speaking the language, but the vast majority of people don't even know how to start the conversation.
Yes, they're not. They haven't even begun.
Broached, yeah.
It's interesting. I did an AI. I moderated an AI panel in June this year with a real estate company that I do a lot of work with, and totally out of my comfort level.
Yeah.
And I had to really study because the 4 panelists, geniuses.
Yeah.
These are people that have sold $100 million companies. I learned so much from interviewing them and talking to them leading up to this. And one of them totally inspired me to get onto AI. He's like, no, he goes, my goal is to get you on AI. And he goes, I'm going to teach you exactly like how you need to start, what you need to do. Go get yourself ChatGPT, go get the $21 paid subscription. And honestly, he inspired me to do it. And I check back in with him every once in a while, but it does. Like if you start to learn to use it, it's incredible.
So in your world, I don't know if you saw this about a week or two ago, OpenAI had their dev day. Zillow has an app in ChatGPT now. And you just go, whoa, where are we going? And that's the fun. No longer let what you so I look at myself as a content creator.
Yeah.
How many steps and things it needed to get a piece of content out has been eliminated. So you are only limited by your own effort.
Yes.
And that's where the sky's the limit.
Put together an entire PowerPoint presentation that
instantly
used to take hours.
I don't know any coding, any back end, anything. I built a website in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Simple.
It's fascinating. It's keeping us on our toes.
It is keeping you on your toes.
Because like the Zillow, what you just brought up with Zillow, actually I had a client tell me about that. And I was like, You know what? I'm going to go check into
Yeah.
this. Well, so that's good. Now I'm on my toes. And
Yes.
now I'm aware of it
Yes.
because people are going to come and ask questions about it
sure.
because they might see it and they'll be able to use it. But now they're going to ask questions because people still want that human interaction.
And I'll leave you on this.
Yeah.
I have a high school in Florida that uses Money Vehicle. Some of their students created agents to help make their automated payments.
Wow.
You are going to control the future. You are the future.
So meaning like to set up their
To
automated
set up a
payments,
credit card
like-
payment agent, done.
Wow.
And now they're building a business around how to do these things. And
That's incredible.
I hope Money Vehicle is obsolete
Yes.
one day. That would be
Yes.
amazing. I think that's a possibility
Yeah.
in a scary, cool way. But you're right. If any industry, if you refuse it, that client, that customer, the educated is going to go, this is better. This is more efficient. This is at least another opinion. Let's head that direction.
What would you say if you look back on the last 7 years and with your Money Vehicle? What is like one standout gratifying moment of some of the students, the stories from the students that you've had, how you've been able to impact them?
I have a group. I mean, number one would be the NFL relationship. Getting to go back into those rooms and go, guys, that I sat in your chair. I'm literally here to be what I think you want and what I needed. One of the coolest moments is in Camden, New Jersey. They have a group of students, high school students going through the program. And on Saturdays, they have parents in the community come in and the students teach the program.
Oh, that's incredible.
I've never been to Camden, New Jersey,
incredible.
But that is the power of, I knew Jed, the speaker, was good in person. I can go and I can talk, but how do you scale the message? I was never going to talk in front of 1 million students to get them to do it. And so time, money, energy, effort, forego profit, forego income to build a machine that can do it without me and my time. And that is where I look at and I go, that is one of my greatest successes is in that community. The conversation is not only started, but is completely theirs.
Yeah.
And that's where I go.
They took the message and now they're sharing it.
And they made it their own.
That's incredible.
They're driving their Money Vehicle.
That's incredible. I love that. Well, and I loved where you had said, you make the people the driver, not the passenger. Their own
Absolutely.
vehicle. And that's the thing.
Yes, you have to sit down. Chapter 1 is your GPS. Where do you want to go? You got to plug it in just like we do onto our phone or any tablet. You are going to decide. No longer as a company, the government, whomever, even your parents. If you don't care about future you, nobody does. That's where the journey starts. And it begins with that why. It begins with where we're wanting to go. But you have to sit in the driver's seat of your Money Vehicle. It's not the train going to take you somewhere. It's not somebody else. You take ownership.
Well, you shared so much wisdom today, both personal and financial. So if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice for taking control of their financial journey, what would that be?
These are always hard. One piece of advice, I think we touched on it. I think money is lazy is a great one to remind and refresh is the idea that we work so hard for money, we have to make money work hard for us. It's a flip of the script. It's a reframe of you no longer have one singular source of income. Just like we consider your income your keys to your Money Vehicle. It's nice to have a spare set of keys. Nice to have a secondary income source. How do you create and generate those? Earning is great. Creating is even better. And as you look at that money is lazy thought, I think that's what people really need to look at their plan and ask themselves, where is my money being lazy? Where can I put it to work for me more efficiently, even at gain more risk? A lot of people ask saving and investing. It's risk. You got to have risk to have reward. But yes, money is lazy. Make it go to work for you is the fundamental theme of all of financial education.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the
This was
show today.
easy.
Our viewers,
Favorite figure skating move? Go.
oh my gosh, favorite figure skating move. I would say probably I love the Ina Bauer. Just a beautiful glide across the ice. head back, just simple move and skating. Be absolutely
Was Cutting
timeless.
Edge your favorite movie growing up? I mean, it should be.
Gosh, was it my favorite? Actually, no, it wasn't Cutting Edge. I did like Ice Castles.
Okay.
Ice Castles was one of my
Yeah.
favorites. But the I, Tonya movie is pretty good. And I think that part of that was because I grew up with Tonya Harding. So I
Okay.
knew her personally.
Okay.
So
That one hit a little closer to home.
It did hit a little bit closer.
I mean, that's
to
a
home,
legendary
yes.
story.
It
Yeah.
was, yes. And that
still
was
is.
actually my last year at Nationals. The U.S. Nationals was in Detroit during
That's why you
that.
took the Lions.
There you go.
Full circle.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
There's a
I,
connection.
Tonya. All right.
I,
Yeah.
Tonya. It's good. It's pretty
Terrible.
spot on, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go watch that one again.
It's a good one.
Thank you for having me. This is
Yes.
awesome.
Well, this was awesome. I think
Yeah.
our listeners are going to love. There's some
I hope
gems
so.
you
Yeah.
shared. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.